It's the Princess of Power versus the main man. As the next phase of the Omega tournament heats up, but as important as the combatants in this tournament are, could it be an unlikely viewer that ends up making all the difference? Well, let's hop into the pages of DCKO Wonder Woman vs. Lobo issue number 1 and find out together, shall we? So then, unlike the other DCKO tie-ins we've been enjoying so far, this one actually starts with a wraparound, one that will feel very familiar. If you read old Lobo stories back in the day, we see an angelic realm where an unseen individual is flipping through channels, before eventually landing on the big knockdown drag-out fight that is about to take place between Wonder Woman and Lobo. It's not revealed yet, but this person is actually the Presence, aka God basically in the DC universe, the ultimate cosmic deity. But more on that in a minute. If you need a refresher for the rules of the Omega tournament, they're pretty simple. Best 2 out of 3 bouts, the venue changes every bout, and in between matches, the combatants are allowed to cycle through any costume and or persona they might have had in DC Comics history. And once again, I feel personally like I'm coming at this story and this event from a completely different point of view than just about anyone else I've heard talk about it. Everyone else I hear thinks they're going to be getting some sort of serious sporting contest for power scalers or something more akin to a tournament arc in an anime. Only DCKO, as far as I can tell, is none of those things. Spiritually, it's much closer to professional wrestling, this issue more than any other, as the first bout between Lobo and Wonder Woman literally takes place in an intergalactic wrestling ring. Another thing to keep in mind about this tie-in specifically is, unlike a lot of the other stories we've seen so far in DCKO, yeah, this one is pure comedy farce, which, shouldn't be too much of a stretch when we stop and consider how many Lobo stories are comedy stories. But don't worry though, that's not to say that Jolie Jones and company completely rip you off on bone-crunching action, because there's certainly plenty of that to go around. You see, Wonder Woman comes into the fight really confident, and why shouldn't she be? She's one of the Trinity, she's one of the most powerful heroes in the entire universe, and Lobo is so frequently painted as a clown. Hell, his own main man machismo and misogyny leak through all over the place. Wonder Woman thinks she has the fight in the bag when she's able to tie the Zarnian up with her lasso of truth, only realizing that bringing Lobo in too close is signing her own death warrant, as he's able to prove just how deadly he is at close range, machine gun punching poor 1D's face into mush, thereby clinching the first match for himself. Now round 2 comes around, which means everyone gets to change their costume. Wonder Woman opts to adopt her golden eagle armor from Kingdom Come, which I guess thanks to the movie is maybe one of her more famous costumes now. You can also tell this story is for shits and giggles too, because you think if Wonder Woman wanted to win, she would probably have brought in her golden god form from the end of Death Metal when she beat the Batman Who Laughs. But again, it's not that type of story. It's a comedy, and you know it's a comedy once you realize what form Lobo chose to take. You see, he actually chose to take the form of the fake New 52 Lobo, and I hear what you're saying there. Wait a minute, that wasn't actually the real Lobo. That guy killed the real Lobo and stole his identity for a bit, which I guess by that logic means that you can turn into anyone who's ever used your identity before? Or maybe this is another instance of the Omega Heart making up rules as it goes along to try and help benefit the villains in this scenario, or my favorite theory, none of this actually matters and Lobo is just trying to be as disrespectful to Wonder Woman as humanly possible. I can beat you as the worst version of myself, because again, it's a joke, it's a comedy, it's a farce. Now remember, before I said DCKO is closer in narrative to professional wrestling than anything? Well, because Wonder Woman shows Paradise Island, she can actually be backed up by her sidekicks. It's an Amazon faction run-in. We got Yara Flor, Donna Troy, and Cassie Sandsmark, who, when they see Pretty Boy Lobo, are sure to exclaim, "What in the New 52 is that?" Now that is a great line and a laugh-out-loud joke, but by far the funniest actual gag in this entire issue is a blink and you'll miss it panel wherein we see Wonder Woman's pet kangaroo Jumpa getting into a punching match with a bunch of space dolphins, like the ones that Lobo actually loves. And some people still took this story way too seriously after a panel like that, can you believe it? Now, as far as the fight itself goes, Wonder Woman and the Amazons continue to take the battle directly to Lobo, only to realize way too late that his healing factor gives him a hell of an edge. He regrows his limbs almost as fast as they can shop them off, meaning that the only way for Wonder Woman to take round 2 is to use one of Lobo's own weapons against him, by grabbing control of his space motorbike and burning him up with the exhaust. This of course means that round 3 is a winner-take-all rubber match, and once more the Heart of Apocalypse figures, you know what, might as well just completely change the rules on everybody. Because again, and I can't stress this enough, the points don't matter and the rules were always made up. You see, instead of a regular fight, the Heart decides that Wonder Woman and Lobo are going to settle things through a series of smaller competitions: arm wrestling, Dana White's Ultimate Slap League, punch boxing, and my personal favorite, Car-Jitsu, where everyone fights inside a moving vehicle. Man, what a missed opportunity that Wonder Woman didn't find a way to involve her invisible jet somehow. In the end though, you just know all these mini competitions had to eventually culminate in one big gladiator-style brawl where both fighters end up completely unloading on each other with whatever they have handy. It's also around here you might also be reminded of a rather interesting bit of DC continuity, and that is, hey, hasn't Lobo actively been banished from both heaven and hell, meaning that on top of his amazing healing factor, he can't actually die? Furthermore, due to her own magical divine birth, is Wonder Woman herself not essentially immortal? Does that not mean that this last round could very well go for all eternity? Well, the answer the book poses is yeah, actually. In fact, the only reason that Wonder Woman actually ends up pulling out the victory is that Lobo gets a little too full of himself and ends up talking shit about the Presence, who, as we mentioned before, has been watching this fight the whole time, so much to the point the Presence decides to turn off Lobo's immortality, giving Wonder Woman the chance to finally win the competition fair and square once and for all. And yeah, it's right around there the comic comes to a close, everybody, and so that was DCKO Wonder Woman vs. Lobo issue number 1. And overall, I would say that I mostly liked the issue. I appreciate that these DCKO tie-ins aren't afraid to completely change up their genres. Some can be more serious character explorations like Superman vs. the Atom, some can be straight up showcase squash matches like Aquaman vs. Hawkman, and then you have issues like this that are completely a-okay being comedic little romps. I love to laugh, Lobo is an inherently funny character, and Wonder Woman also serves as a kind of interesting straight woman in and of herself. I'm actually late covering this issue on the channel due to a lot of Christmas shopping I've been doing, so I've had the chance to absorb a lot of different takes, and oh boy, did a lot of people take this one way too seriously. That's not to say I don't think that they could have maybe done things a little bit better. I would have liked some more characterization with my comedy. I think there are some interesting places you could go. Or at the very least, just, you know, pull out some more interesting deep-cut versions of Wonder Woman and Lobo. Personally, I would have liked to have seen maybe Flashpoint Wonder Woman, a more savage, bloodthirsty version of her, to be called upon for a bloody type of match. Likewise, it might have been fun to see Lobo adopt his weirdo original costume from the 80s Omega Man, but then again, that might just be a joke that I would have appreciated. Overall, I think I'd feel comfortable giving this one a 7 out of 10. I had fun with it, and I'll be interested to see what they do next with Wonder Woman if she actually does get a more serious outing in the next heat. Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest, that's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and, you know, help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye-bye.